I'm recording my video reflection for this week from the cathedral grounds, which are abuzz with all the preparations for the 29th East Anglian Beer and Cider Festival. We are so excited to be hosting this, and there's a real sense of anticipation. Ticket sales are looking amazing. I've been taking part of August to reflect and rest and think. The benefit of not being on holiday during a quieter time of year means that in addition to tidying up your email inbox and working your way through unfinished tasks, you can also spend a bit of time thinking and reading and reflecting. That's not always as comfortable as it sounds. When you stop and allow your thoughts to wander for a bit, when you allow your mind to be passive, things can swim to the surface. Thoughts and preoccupations which you might have been able to banish in the midst of the busyness of an average day now demand attention. They demand to be looked at and addressed. And for me, one such preoccupation, which I've, for the most part, managed to bury for the past few months, has been my real irritation at the narrative in large sections of the news media that the Church in general, and the Church of England in particular, stands guilty of a wholesale dereliction of duty during the lockdown because we closed our church doors. Even Trevor Phillips, whom I profoundly admire, had a go at us in the Times last week. One of the reasons that I resent unfairness is that what still grates with me, and the reason I find myself shouting at the radio and grinding my teeth at newspaper articles and rehearsing my arguments, is it's probably no use protesting that the church was specifically asked, required even, to close our doors at the height of the pandemic. But that when we did so, we didn't become inactive. I know that you who are reading this are more than familiar with this already, but humour me. We provided online worship every day, twice a day. We supported and opened food banks. We developed telephone trees. We did shopping and prescriptions were delivered. We held online groups and recitals and rehearsals. I know you know all this already, and I bang on about it all the time. But somehow the message doesn't seem to be getting through to some of the cultured despisers of religion, most active in the media, of course. Of course, religion, like any other institution, is all too easy to attack. It's a quick and lazy option when you've got a deadline to meet. I understand that. And it also has to be admitted that some churches did fall asleep or react in fear. That can't be denied. The likelihood is that those churches that fell asleep during the pandemic may not be able to wake up again. But those churches, like the cathedral, which were creative, which linked up to new communities, which found new ways to serve and connect, we will find new energy with which to commit to the task of reconnection as we begin a new term. Sitting in the middle of one of the tents for the beer festival inspires me that cathedrals and churches are finding new ways of reconnecting with our many different communities. Jesus, in this Sunday's Gospel, talks to his hearers about stretching the boundaries of what faith looks like and its many boundaries. He's stretching the boundaries about what cleanliness and uncleanliness looks like. He's having a go at those who follow the letter of the law without actually looking at what the spirit of the law might suggest. People who outwardly wash their hands and cleanse themselves, makes me think of hand sanitizing, and yet inside don't address the stuff that needs to be cleaned so that we can live a renewed life. When we reconnect with new communities, one of the things that we're having to look at is how much are we prepared to press our own boundaries outside. There's been a bit of criticism of holding a beer and cider festival in a cathedral, in spite of the fact that Jesus turned water into wine, not the other way round, and at the Last Supper used wine to institute a meal by which his followers would remember him. But churches, cathedrals, religious folk of all sorts will need to ask what stretching the boundaries, what might look like, what following the spirit of our faith might look like, and how some of the more traditional cleanlinesses may need to be addressed.